It was my daughter Emily's 45th birthday, and I had arrived at her house early with the cake I'd ordered specially from her favorite bakery. It cost $200, but for my only child, nothing was too expensive. I knocked on the door with a smile, expecting to see her face light up like it did when she was a little girl. But when she opened it, her expression was full of annoyance. "Oh, it's you," she muttered, not even looking me in the eye. "Happy birthday, my love," I said, holding out the cake with the candles already in place. "I brought your favorite chocolate with strawberries, just like when you were a kid." Emily sighed deeply, as if my gift was some heavy burden. "Mom, we need to talk," she said flatly, letting me inside without even saying thank you for the cake. We sat down in the living room of her lovely home, the house I had fully paid for when she and Mark got married. It had cost $50,000, which I pulled from my life savings, money saved penny by penny, working double shifts as a nurse for 40 years. "You know, Mom," Emily began in that cold voice she had grown over the past few years, "I've been thinking a lot about my birthday, about gifts, and what would really make me happy." I nodded with excitement. "Of course, my love. Tell me what you want and I'll get it for you. A trip? Some jewelry? Maybe that new car you mentioned." Emily looked me straight in the eye, and what I saw there sent chills through me. It was pure hate. "The one thing I'd love most as a birthday gift," she said slowly, stressing every word, "is for you to just die." Time stopped. I felt like someone had pulled my heart right out of my chest. Her words echoed in my ears again and again. My daughter, my own daughter, wished for my death as a birthday present. "What? What did you just say?" I whispered, feeling tears fill my eyes. "You heard me?" she said coldly, her voice like sharp blades. "I'm tired of you, Mom. Tired of your constant calls, your surprise visits, of you always being around bothering me. My life would be so much better and happier if you just disappeared." My hands started shaking badly. 72 years of life, 45 years of being her mother, and I never thought I'd hear those words from her. "Emily," I said through sobs, "I'm your mother. I've given you everything. I've sacrificed everything for you." "Exactly," she cut in, standing up from the couch. "And that's why you're choking me. I can't breathe with you always around. I need space. I need to live my life without your drama and your neediness." The $200 cake was still in my hands, the candles starting to melt. Everything I had dreamed for that day, hugs, smiles, maybe a nice family dinner, vanished into thin air. "But sweetie," I tried one more time, "I just want to be close to you, to be part of your life. You're all I have." "And that's the real problem," she said, crossing her arms, "that I'm all you have. Go find your own life and leave me alone." I stood from the couch, my legs shaking, still holding the cake that now felt like a joke. "I can't believe you're saying this to me," I said softly. "After everything I've done for you." "Everything you've done?" She laughed coldly. "Mom, everything you did was for yourself, so you could feel needed, so you could control my life. But I'm not a child anymore." I walked toward the door, feeling like each step took years off my life. At the door, I turned one last time, hoping to see some regret, a glimpse of the sweet little girl she used to be. But all I saw was impatience. Impatience for me to leave so she could enjoy her birthday without the bother I had become. "Happy birthday, Emily," I said quietly. And I walked out of that house, closing the door behind me. I didn't know it then, but that would be the last time I'd ever step into that house as the mother who gave up everything. Because what my daughter didn't know was that she had just woken something in me that had been asleep for decades. I got back to my small apartment with weak legs and a broken heart. The $200 cake ended up in the trash, the melted candles matching the tears that wouldn't stop. I sat on my old sofa, the same sofa where I had held Emily as a baby, read her stories, cried happy tears when she called me Mom. How did I end up like this? How could my own daughter, the child I carried for 9 months, wish me dead so coldly? I started remembering everything, absolutely everything I had done for her over 45 years. When she was 3 and had pneumonia, I worked 3 shifts to pay for her medicine. It cost $200 for antibiotics not covered by insurance, money I got from selling my late mother's jewelry. When she turned 16 and wanted to go to prom, I worked weekends for 4 months to buy her that pink dress for $800. I still remember her sparkling eyes. "Thank you. Mom, you're the best in the world," she said, hugging me tightly. In college, when she changed her major for the 3rd time, I paid for every semester without complaining. $42,000 total, money I got by taking a second mortgage on my house. "Don't worry, honey," I'd tell her whenever she called me crying. "Your education is what matters most." When she married Mark, I planned and paid for the whole wedding, $35,000, so she could have the day of her dreams. The fanciest ballroom, the prettiest flowers, the menu she picked without thinking about cost. "I want my princess to have it all," I told her, signing check after check. And then came the house, that same house where she had just broken me. When Emily and Mark decided to buy their first home, I didn't hesitate. "Don't worry about the down payment," I told them. "I'll handle it." It was $150,000 from my retirement savings, money I had saved over years. But it didn't stop there. When the twins were born 5 years ago, I became their free babysitter. Every night Emily wanted to go out with Mark. Every event they had, there I was, never charging a cent, happy to help my daughter enjoy her dream life. When Mark lost his job last year, who paid their mortgage for 8 months? Me, $16,000 from my pension, money that meant eating just rice and beans for weeks, and when the twins needed braces, another $4,000 that I paid without blinking. "Don't worry," I told them, seeing their worried faces. "That's what grandparents are for." I got up from the sofa and walked to my desk, where I kept all the receipts, proof of every penny I'd spent on Emily and her family. Boxes and boxes of papers. Not out of doubt, but because I was proud of what I'd done. I started doing the math, raising Emily till she was grown. Around $200,000. College, $42,000. Wedding, $35,000. House down payment, $150,000. Mortgage help, $16,000. Braces, $4,000. Gifts over the years, at least $10,000. The total was shocking over $460,000. Nearly $500,000 spent on my daughter's happiness, and all that just to hear that her biggest wish was for me to die. Tears dropped on the papers as I added the numbers. Again. If I had put that money in a savings account with interest, I'd have more than $600,000 today. I could be living in a nice home, traveling the world, enjoying retirement, instead of counting pennies in this tiny apartment. But no, I had chosen to spend it on love. I believed every sacrifice was worth it, that one day I'd have a daughter who loved and cared for me in old age. How foolish I had been. I picked up the phone and dialed Emily's number. I needed to hear her voice one more time. Needed to know if she really meant those awful words. "What do you want now, Mom?" She answered, annoyed, after the 5th ring. "Emily, I need to know, did you really mean what you said today?" I asked with a shaky voice. "Of course, I meant it," she said without any regret. "Mom, you need to understand I need space. Your obsession with me isn't healthy." "Obsession?" I repeated in shock. "You call a mother's love obsession?" "Yes, exactly that. And I hope after today you finally get the message. I need you to respect my space and let me live my life." I hung up without saying goodbye. No misunderstanding. My daughter truly believed my love was a problem, that my presence was a thing to get rid of. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, remembering every happy moment we had shared, every hug, every "I love you, Mom" she had once said. Had it all been fake? Or had I just raised a daughter so selfish she couldn't see beyond herself? At 3 in the morning, something inside me shifted. The sadness started turning into something new. Anger, fire, the clear truth that I had been used, tricked and thrown away like trash. My daughter wanted me gone. Well, maybe it was time to give her just what she asked for. The next day, I woke up with a clear mind I hadn't felt in years. The sadness was gone. Now, I felt something stronger, determination. If Emily wanted me out of her life, I would go, but not in the way she expected. I put on my best clothes and walked out with purpose. First stop, the bank, where I had a joint account with Emily for house emergency costs. I had opened it just in case, and I had put $20,000 in it for unexpected problems. "Good morning, Mrs. Johnson," greeted the manager, Mr. Reynolds, who had known me for years. "How can I help you today?" "I want to close joint account number 458728891, I said with a smile that looked polite. But inside, it was pure revenge. "Are you sure?" "That account has a good balance of $20,000, he warned, checking his screen. "Completely sure. I want to move all that money to my personal account," I replied, signing the papers with a steady hand. Seeing those $20,000 back in my own account gave me a kind of joy I hadn't felt in years. It was only the beginning. Next stop, the mortgage loan office. Last year, when Mark lost his job, I had co-signed their mortgage. That meant if they couldn't pay, I was responsible. But it also meant I had legal rights to that house. "Mrs. Johnson," said the loan officer, Ms. Williams, as she welcomed me. "What brings you here?" "I want to review the mortgage agreement where I'm listed as a co-signer," I explained. "I need to know exactly what my rights and responsibilities are." While she searched for the documents, I thought about the day I had signed those papers. Emily had cried with joy. "Thank you, Mom. I don't know what we'd do without you." "You're our savior," she had said, hugging me tight. Mark had thanked me too, promising they'd never miss a payment. "Here are the documents," Ms. Williams said, placing a thick folder in front of me. "As a co-signer, you're responsible for payments if the main borrowers can't pay. But you also have the right to reclaim the property if you believe they can't meet their obligations." "Exactly," I said, studying the documents carefully. "Is there a problem with payments?" she asked with a concerned look. "I'm looking into the situation," I replied, putting a copy of everything into my bag. "What would I have to do if I decided to use my rights as co-signer?" "You'd need to show there's a risk of missed payments or proof that they've already fallen behind. In your case, I see you covered 8 months of payments last year, which is strong proof that the borrowers aren't financially stable." Perfect. Mark had lost his job again just last week. Emily had told me without realizing what it could mean. She thought she was asking for help, but really she was giving me the tools for my revenge. I left that office smiling. My dear daughter had no idea what was coming. My third stop was my personal lawyer, Mr. Anil Adams, a 70-year-old man who had been a close friend of my late husband. He knew everything about my family and had seen all the sacrifices I had made for Emily over the years. "Julieta," he greeted warmly. "What brings you here?" "It's been a while." "Anil, I need your help with something very serious," I said, sitting in front of his desk. "I want to completely change my will." His eyebrows went up. "Has something happened with Emily?" I told him everything. Every painful word, every look of disrespect, the cold way she had told me to die on her birthday. Anil listened quietly, his face growing more serious with each detail. "Julieta," he said after a long pause, "I'm so sorry. I never imagined Emily could act this way. Not after everything you've done for her." "Me neither," I said with a sigh. "But I've made up my mind. I want to leave everything to a charity. And I want to set up a trust fund for my grandkids. But Emily can't touch that money until they turn 25. "That's doable," Anil nodded, writing notes. "Do you also want to change the beneficiaries of your life insurance?" "Of course. Anything with Emily's name on it, I want changed." "My daughter wants me dead? Then when I do die, she won't get a single penny." We spent 2 hours going over all the legal paperwork. My $100,000 life insurance, my savings, my apartment, my investments. Everything that was once meant for Emily would now go to the Orphans Foundation, where I had volunteered for years. "There's one more thing," I said as we wrapped up. "I want you to prepare the documents to reclaim the house Emily lives in. As the co-signer, I have rights. And her husband just lost his job again." Anil's eyes lit up with understanding. "Now I see where this is going. Are you sure you want to go this far?" Completely sure, I replied, with a firm tone that even surprised me. My daughter said her life would be easier without me. Well, I'm going to disappear, but first, she'll learn what life without me really means. When I left Danelle's office, the sun had already set. I walked through my neighborhood feeling like a new person, as if I'd finally woken up after 45 years of living only for Emily. I had given up my dreams for hers, but not anymore. Back at my apartment, I poured myself a glass of wine, something I hadn't done in years. Toasting myself felt strange but incredibly freeing. Then I picked up my phone and dialed a number I had saved for months but never used before. It was for a travel agency that helped retirees move abroad. "Good evening. This is Julieta Johnson," I said when someone answered. "I saw your ad about living in Switzerland. Could you send me all the details?" "Of course, Mrs. Johnson. Switzerland is very popular among our clients. We offer programs for short stays and even permanent residency. What exactly would you like to know?" "Everything," I replied without a second thought. I want to know how a 72-year-old woman can start a brand new life in Switzerland. After I hung up, I stood at the window looking out over the city I'd lived in my whole life. Soon this would all be just a memory. Emily had asked for my disappearance as a birthday gift. I was going to give it to her, in the most unforgettable way possible. The next few days were filled with secret plans and emotions I hadn't felt in years. Every morning I woke up feeling a mix of pain and strength that pushed me forward. It was like I had finally woken up from a long dream where I lived only to serve my daughter. Now I was finally living for myself. On Wednesday morning, my phone rang. It was Emily. For a moment, my heart sped up. Maybe she had changed her mind. Maybe she wanted to say sorry. I was still too hopeful. "Mom," she said in that cold voice she used now, "I need a favor." No hello, no how are you. Straight to business, like I was her assistant. "What do you need?" I asked, curious to see how bold she would be. "The twins have a school play on Friday, and Mark and I have an important work dinner. Can you watch them that night?" The irony was perfect. The same woman who had told me to die now wanted me to babysit, like I was still on call 24/7. "I can't," I said simply. "What do you mean you can't?" she asked, truly surprised. Clearly, she wasn't used to me saying no. "I have other plans," I lied, smiling to myself. "What plans could you possibly have?" she asked with that insulting tone, like I didn't deserve a life at my age. "Plans that are none of your business," I replied calmly. "Find someone else." "But Mom, I can't find a sitter this late." "And since when do you charge me to watch your own grandkids?" There it was, her favorite weapon, guilt. But it didn't work on me anymore. "Since you told me that your best birthday gift would be for me to die," I said coldly. "If you want me out of your life, I'm starting now." There was a long silence. Then she laughed sarcastically. "Really? You're going to act like a child now? I thought this drama would pass in a few days." "It's not drama, Emily. It's me respecting your wish. You wanted me gone, so I'm gone." "Fine," she said bitterly. "If you want to act this way, go ahead. But don't come crying when you're all alone." She hung up without saying goodbye. Perfect. Every call, every word confirmed I was making the right choice. That afternoon, I returned to the bank. This time I did something I never imagined. I withdrew most of my savings in cash. $30,000, sealed in an envelope and locked in my personal safe. This was the money I would use to start fresh in Switzerland. I also called the travel agency and confirmed my trip. A flight to Zurich next Tuesday, with the option to extend my stay as long as I wanted. It cost $5,000, and I paid it with confidence. It was the smartest and most freeing expense I'd made in years. On Thursday morning, someone knocked on my door. It was my neighbor, Claire, a 68-year-old woman who lived next door and had become a close friend over the past 5 years. "Julieta," she said, sitting down with a coffee in hand. "You've seemed different lately. Is something going on?" Claire had seen everything. The bags of food I'd carry to Emily's house while I ate soup to save money. The many times I canceled plans to babysit. She knew the truth even before I said it. So I told her everything, every painful detail about Emily's birthday and all the plans I'd made this week. My God, Julieta, Claire whispered, tears in her eyes. I can't believe Emily would say something so cruel after all you've done. She said it like it was nothing, I told her. Like I was just an annoyance to be removed. And you're really going to Switzerland? Yes, I said firmly. I've already bought my ticket. I leave Tuesday. Claire gently took my hands. You have my full support. What Emily did is unforgivable. There's one more thing, I said in a quiet voice. I'm going to need your help with something very important. I explained everything, how I wanted Emily to believe I had truly died, at least for a while. Claire would be the one to find the empty apartment and the goodbye letter. It's brilliant, Claire said with a playful smile. That ungrateful daughter is finally going to learn what she's lost. Will you help me? Of course I will. Honestly, I think it's exactly what she needs. That night, I wrote the most important letter of my life. The letter Emily would find on her table that would change everything. My dear Emily, I began. You asked me to disappear for your birthday. I've decided to give you your wish. When you read this, I'll already be far away, starting the life I should have lived a long time ago, instead of giving everything to you. I wrote for hours, listing every penny I'd spent, every dream I'd let go of, every time I put her first. But it wasn't a bitter letter. It was a lesson. I wanted her to understand exactly what she had lost. Along with this letter, I wrote, You'll find all the documents I signed this week. My new will, the end of your health insurance that I paid for, the mortgage notice where I'm using my rights as co-signer, and the end of all financial support. It was a 23-page letter, carefully written to explain everything that would now change in her life, because I was gone. Just like she asked, Your life will be easier without me. The letter ended. But it will also be much more expensive. I hope it's worth it. On Friday night, while packing 2 suitcases with my most important things, I saw Emily's name pop up on my phone. I didn't answer. She called 3 more times. But I simply let the phone ring. I had nothing left to say to her. The next day, Saturday, Mark showed up at my door. He looked tired and desperate. Julieta, he said in a pleading voice. Emily told me what happened between you two. I know what she said was wrong, but please don't do this to our family. Do what? I asked, pretending not to understand. Stop helping us. Just pulling away from our lives like this. The kids need you. We need you, how interesting. When Emily wanted me gone, I was a bother. But now that they realized everything I had done, suddenly they needed me. Mark, I said calmly, your wife was very clear. My presence is something she no longer wants. I'm only respecting her wishes. But Julieta, you know how Emily gets when she's upset. She didn't mean it. Oh, she didn't? Because she sounded very sure when she said she wanted me dead for her birthday. Mark looked down. He knew he couldn't defend that. Please, he begged, give me a chance to fix this. I'll talk to Emily. I'll make her see how wrong she was. It's too late for that, I said, slowly closing the door. Give my love to the kids. Sunday was my last day in that city. I spent the morning walking through all the places that had mattered in my life. The hospital where I worked for 40 years, the park where I used to take Emily as a child, the church where I married her father. It was a quiet goodbye to a life I had lived entirely for others. On Monday, I would finally begin a life just for me. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was nervous or sad, but because of a strange feeling I hadn't felt in many years. Excitement. At 72 years old, I was about to start the life I had always wanted, but never dared to live. At 5 in the morning on Monday, Claire knocked on my door, just as we had planned. She brought fresh coffee and a knowing smile that filled me with energy. Ready for your big escape? She asked, winking. More than ready, I replied, carrying my 2 suitcases to the door. Do you have the spare keys to my apartment? Right here, she said, showing the set I'd given her the night before. And I also have the letter for Emily, and all the legal papers you want me to leave at her place. We had planned everything in detail. Claire would wait until Wednesday to go to Emily's house with the documents, pretending she found my apartment empty and got worried. She would be the one to tell Emily that I was gone forever. Remember, I said as we called a cab. You have to act very concerned. Tell her I didn't answer the phone for 2 days, that you knocked and I didn't respond, and that when you used the emergency key, you found my apartment empty with a letter on the table. Don't worry, Julieta. I taught drama for 30 years. This will be my best performance, Claire said with a playful smile. The cab arrived at exactly 6:00 in the morning. As they loaded my bags, I looked one last time at the apartment I'd lived in for 15 years. Strangely, I didn't feel sad. It felt like I was finally free from a prison I had built myself. To the airport? The cab driver asked. To the airport, I said, and those words felt like the start of a brand new life. During the 40-minute ride, I thought about everything I was leaving behind. My work at the hospital, my daily habits, the constant stress of worrying about Emily. But I also thought about what was ahead. Freedom to make my own choices, to spend my money on myself, to live without the heavy weight of Emily's endless needs. At the airport, while waiting for my flight, I got 3 calls from Emily. I didn't answer. Then she sent a message. Mom, you're being silly. The kids are asking about you. Call me. I deleted it without replying. It was amazing how now, when I wasn't available 24/7, she suddenly needed me. The flight to Zurich was long but peaceful. For the first time in years, no one knew where I was. No one could ask me for help, money, or time. It was the most freeing feeling I'd had since before becoming a mom. During the 12-hour flight, I wrote everything in my journal, every moment, every feeling, every step that led me here. I wanted to remember what it felt like to finally break free from a harmful relationship, even if that relationship was with my own daughter. I landed in Zurich on Tuesday night local time. A kind young man from the travel agency met me at the airport with a sign that had my name. Mrs. Johnson, he said with a warm smile, welcome to Switzerland. I hope you're ready for a new adventure. More than ready, I answered, and for the first time in weeks, my smile felt real. Klaus took me to a lovely furnished apartment in central Zurich, rented for a month while I decided if I wanted to stay long-term. It was small but cozy, with windows that looked out at a quiet park and a partial view of the lake. Here's everything you need to know about the city, Klaus said, handing me a thick folder. Places to eat, activities for seniors, German classes, social groups. I also scheduled a meeting with a financial advisor tomorrow to help with the paperwork if you want to stay. That night, I slept better than I had in years. No one could call me, no one needed me, and I had no responsibilities besides taking care of myself. On Wednesday morning, I woke up early and went out to explore. I had breakfast at a cute cafe by the lake. I bought fresh flowers for my apartment. And for the first time in decades, I spent money on something just because I liked it. A silk scarf that cost $100. No guilt. No thinking about whether that money could be better spent on Emily. As I walked through the peaceful streets of Zurich, I did the math in my head. In just the last 5 years, I had spent around $50,000 on Emily, helping with the mortgage, braces for the twins, gas money, gifts, groceries. That $50,000 could have been used to travel the world, live in comfort, chase dreams I had buried for decades. But I gave it to someone who saw my love as a problem and my presence as a burden. At 2 p.m. Zurich time, it was 8 a.m. back home. Claire would be getting ready to go to Emily's apartment with the letter that would change everything. I sat on a bench by the lake and waited. I knew my phone would soon ring. At 5 p.m, it started to vibrate. It was Emily. I let it ring. Then again. Still Emily. This time I answered. "Mom," she cried, her voice full of panic. "Where are you?" "Claire came to the house with a letter from you. She said you disappeared. What's going on?" "Hello, Emily," I said calmly, enjoying the view. "Did you read the letter yet?" "Yes, I read it." "Are you crazy? How could you do this to us?" "Where are you?" "I'm exactly where I need to be," I said. "Far away from you, just like you wanted." "But I didn't mean it. I didn't mean for you to actually leave. I was just mad. There it was. Her old trick, downplaying the damage, trying to make me feel guilty for reacting. You didn't mean it when you said the best birthday gift would be for me to die? I asked, because you sounded very serious. I was just frustrated. Mark lost his job again. The kids are acting out. I'm under so much stress. I shouldn't have taken it out on you. You're right. You shouldn't have. But you did. And words can't be erased. But Mom, please come back. We need you. I need you? How strange. Now she needed me. Now that she read about the money, the house, the insurance. Now that she saw what she was losing. Do you need me or do you need my money? I asked. There was a long silence. I need you, she finally said, but her voice didn't sound sure. Emily, I gave you 45 years of my life. I gave up my dreams, my time, my money, everything. And when I needed love in return, you said you wished I were dead. That broke my heart. I'm sorry, Mom, I really am. Sorry isn't enough. The damage is done. But maybe it's a good thing. It opened my eyes. I've been living my life all wrong. What do you mean? I mean that for the first time in decades, I'm living for me. And it feels amazing. Where are you, Mom? Please tell me, Emily begged, her voice shaking. The kids keep asking for Grandma. They don't understand. Now the kids missed me. For years, when I gave up my time and money for them, no one noticed. But now that I was gone, my absence was loud. They'll be okay, I said, looking at the mountains. They're strong, and they'll learn that words have consequences. But Mom, you can't just disappear like this. What if something happens to you? What if you get sick? How will we know? Now she cared about my health. How convenient. Emily, in the last 5 years, I had 3 blood pressure emergencies. Do you know how many times you visited me? None. You always had something more important. That's not true, she said quietly. It is true. The first time I called you from the ER, you had a hair appointment. The second time, it was Mark's birthday. The third time, you just didn't pick up. The silence told me she remembered it all. I didn't think it was serious, she whispered. Because my health never mattered to you. But my money always did. It's not about the money, Emily yelled. It's about you. I miss you, Mom. Do you miss me or do you miss having someone to solve your problems? I hung up the phone without waiting for an answer. It rang again, but I turned it off. I needed peace for my first night of true freedom. That night, I went out to dinner by myself at a fancy restaurant near the lake. I ordered the most expensive dish, salmon with caviar for $80, and drank a whole bottle of French wine. It had been years since I treated myself. I always thought that money was better used on Emily. Not anymore. The next day, Thursday, I turned on my phone and saw 47 missed calls and 23 text messages, all from Emily and Mark. The messages went from begging to threatening. Please. Mom, answer, said the first. The fifth said, if you don't reply, we're going to call the police. The 10th warned, we already called the police. They said there's nothing they can do because you left a letter explaining why you left. The 15th said, the bank called us. You closed the joint account. How are we going to handle emergencies? The 20th one told me all I needed to know. It was amazing to see how quickly their concern for me turned into panic about the money. I chose to reply to just one message. I'm fine. I'm exactly where I need to be. Don't look for me. The reply came within 5 minutes. You don't understand what you're doing. You're going to ruin us, the mortgage lawyer called. He says you can take the house. There it was, the truth. She wasn't worried about me being hurt or in danger. She was scared because she finally understood what losing me meant financially. I wrote back, now you understand what I was worth in your life. Too bad you realized it too late. That afternoon, I had a meeting with the Swiss financial advisor. He was an older, very professional man named Herr Meyer, who helped me learn all my options for living in Switzerland long-term. With your current savings and your American pension, he explained, you can live comfortably here for the rest of your life. Switzerland has excellent health care for retired foreigners, and the quality of life is very high. For the first time in years, I talked about my finances without thinking of Emily's emergencies. It felt freeing to plan my money based only on my needs and wants. You can also invest part of your savings in the Swiss economy, Herr Meyer added. The returns are steady and safe. In 5 years, you could double your savings if you invest well. Double my savings. How many chances had I had before? But I always chose to use the money for my daughter's endless wants. Is there anything else I should tell you? He asked. We have many clients like you, older people who come here for a fresh start after hard family situations. You're not alone. Those words comforted me deeply. I wasn't the only mother who had been used and thrown away by ungrateful children. There were many others who had chosen their own peace over family stress. On Friday morning, I joined a hiking group for seniors. There were 8 women and 4 men, all between 60 and 75, all looking for new experiences. During the bus ride, I sat next to a woman named Ingrid, a 71-year-old from Germany who had moved to Switzerland 2 years ago. What brought you here? She asked as we looked out at the view from the window. A daughter who told me her biggest birthday wish was for me to die, I said honestly. I was done hiding the truth. Ingrid's eyes widened. Seriously? Completely seriously. After I paid for her house, raised her kids, and gave up my retirement for her, she told me that having me in her life was too much. My goodness, Ingrid said softly. And what did you do? What do you think? I said. I left. And now I'm here. Ingrid smiled with respect. You're very brave. It took me 5 years to walk away from my toxic family. My son and daughter-in-law treated me like an ATM with legs. For the rest of the day, we shared stories. Ingrid had come to Switzerland after realizing her grown children only contacted her when they wanted money, for trips, new cars, or little luxuries. When she finally set limits, they called her selfish and said they'd stop letting her see her grandkids. The first few months were hard, Ingrid told me as we walked through a small medieval town. I felt guilty. I started thinking maybe I was a bad mom, that I was supposed to give up everything for them. What changed your thinking? I asked. I realized they never asked if I was happy, if I had enough money for myself, or if my constant giving was hurting me. They only cared about what I gave them. That's not love, Julieta. That's being used, her words hit deep. For years, I had mistaken guilt and control for love. Endless requests for real need. That night, back in my apartment, I turned on my phone again for the first time in days. There were 62 missed calls and 47 texts. Most were from Emily and Mark, but some were from unknown numbers. I read the texts in order. At first, they were emotional. Please come back. We need you. The kids are crying for you. Then they became desperate and money-related. The bank called. They want to meet Friday. They said as co-signer, you can claim the house. They can't just take our home over a misunderstanding. By the 5th day, the messages were angry. This is crazy, Mom. You're ruining our lives over a little tantrum. Be an adult and come back. And finally, desperate. I called every hospital, the police, your friends. No one knows where you are. If something happens to you, it'll be my fault. Please just tell me you're okay. It was amazing to see that at no point did Emily truly say sorry for wishing me dead. She never admitted how cruel her words were. It was always about what my absence cost her. I decided to send one last reply. I'm perfectly fine and happier than I've been in years. What you're feeling now is the natural result of your own actions. I hope this teaches you to value the people who love you before it's too late. The reply came right away. Please, Mom, we can fix this. I swear I'll never say those awful things again. Just come back. I wrote my final message. Empty promises don't heal broken hearts. Emily, your words showed me how you really see me. You can't erase that truth with last-minute regrets. After sending it, I blocked her number and all numbers linked to Mark. I also blocked the unknown numbers that kept calling. It was time to close this chapter for good. On Monday morning, I met again with Herr Meyer to sign the papers for permanent residency in Switzerland. I also started the process to transfer my American pension and sell my apartment back home. Are you sure you want this to be permanent? Herr asked. It's a big step. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, I replied, signing every paper with confidence. For the first time in decades, I'm making choices for my happiness, not for anyone else's needs. That afternoon, I got a call from Claire, my kind neighbor and partner in this plan. She sounded excited. "Julieta, you need to hear this," she said. "Emily came over yesterday crying like a child. She begged me to tell you to come back. She said it was all a misunderstanding." "What did you tell her?" I asked. I told her the truth. That what she said to you was unforgivable, and if I were you, I'd disappear too. You should have seen her face when she realized even the neighbors knew how cruel she was. "Did she say anything about the money problems?" I asked, curious. "Oh, yes. She said they can't pay the mortgage without your help. The bank is pushing them. Mark still can't find steady work. The kids need things for school they can't afford." Basically, she finally realized what you did for them, only after she lost it. It was just as I thought. She didn't miss me. She missed what I gave. "Claire," I told her, "when people ask about me, especially Emily, I want you to say that I'm dead to them. Because in a way it's true. The Julieta who gave up everything for an ungrateful daughter died on her birthday." "I completely understand," Claire replied. "And honestly, I think that's the best kind of death you could have chosen." 3 weeks after arriving in Switzerland, my new life had become something I never imagined. I enrolled in German classes 3 times a week. I started watercolor painting lessons on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I joined a book club for expats that met on Sundays. For the first time in decades, my calendar was filled with things I actually wanted to do. Things that brought me joy and helped me grow. But the biggest surprise was the money. Without Emily's constant asking, my savings didn't just last, they grew. The investments I made with Hermeyer were already showing profits. For the first time, I was planning a future based only on what I needed. On Thursday morning, while having breakfast at my favorite cafe by the lake, I got a call from an international number I didn't recognize. I hesitated, but picked it up. "Mrs. Julieta Johnson?" said a woman's voice with an American accent. "Yes, this is she. Who's calling?" "My name is Sarah Williams. I'm a social worker with family services in your hometown. I'm calling because we received a complaint about your well-being." My heart dropped. "A complaint? What kind?" "Your daughter, Emily Johnson, filed a report claiming you might be suffering from memory loss or mental decline. She says you've made risky life and money choices and are living in unsafe conditions abroad." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Emily had gone so far as to call social services and lie just to undo what I'd done. "Miss Williams," I said firmly, "I do not suffer from memory loss or mental decline. I am living in Switzerland by choice, in a clean, safe apartment with excellent health care. I'm mentally sound, and everything my daughter said is false." "I understand your position, Mrs. Johnson, but we need to confirm your well-being. Would it be possible to set up a medical and mental health evaluation through the American consulate in Switzerland?" "Of course," I replied without hesitation. "I'm willing to go through any test that proves I'm in perfect mental health and that I made these decisions with full clarity." After setting up the details for the evaluation, I hung up feeling both angry and shocked. Emily had crossed a line she couldn't come back from. It wasn't enough that she wished me dead. Now she was trying to ruin my mental credibility just to take back control of my money and my life. I called my lawyer Anel back in my hometown right away. "Julieta," he said, clearly concerned. "It's good to hear from you. I've had a very interesting week with your daughter." "I'm sure you have. I just talked to social services. Emily is claiming I have dementia." "That's not all," Anel sighed. "She's also hired another lawyer to try to cancel all the legal changes you made before leaving. She's saying you weren't in your right mind when you signed them." "Can she really do that?" "She can try, but she doesn't have a strong case. I have recordings of all our meetings where you clearly show full mental clarity, and the fact that you carefully planned your move and are now living on your own in Switzerland goes against any claims of memory problems." "What else is she doing?" "She's tried to access your bank accounts, saying she's worried about your safety. She also tried to stop the process of reclaiming the house, but all the documents are legal. Plus, she signed paperwork admitting that Mark lost his job again. which supports your claim. It was amazing how far Emily would go to try to get back the money and benefits she had lost. Anil, I want you to prepare a defamation case against my daughter. Her lies about my mental health could damage my reputation and my legal rights. I'd be happy to, Anil replied. After how she's treated you, it's time she faces some consequences. 2 days later, I arrived at the American consulate in Zurich for the medical and mental evaluations. The American doctor who examined me was an older man, kind and professional. He understood the situation right away. Mrs. Johnson, he said after the 3-hour exam, not only are you in perfect mental health, but your decisions show clear thinking and bravery. Your daughter is clearly trying to use the legal system to regain money and control. I'll include that in my report, absolutely. I'll send a detailed report to social services showing that her claims are false and that you're living an independent, healthy life here in Switzerland. That same afternoon, the social worker called me back. Mrs. Johnson, we've received the report from the consulate doctor. It's clear that your daughter's claims have no basis. We're closing the case and will notify Emily that her complaint was unfounded. Thank you, I said. Will this go on any official record? Yes, it will be documented that she made a false report about a family member's well-being. If it happens again, it could have legal consequences. Perfect. Emily had not only failed to undo my choices, now there was also a formal record of her false claims. That night, I decided to do something I had avoided for a while, write an open letter about my whole experience, not for Emily, but for other mothers who might be stuck in similar situations, being manipulated or emotionally used by their adult children. I wrote for 4 hours, describing every sacrifice I made, every time I was taken for granted, and every step I took to take my life back. It turned into a 20-page letter titled, When a Mother's Love Becomes Self-Destruction, My Story of Freedom at 72. I sent it to a blog I'd found that shared stories of older women who had made bold life changes. A week later, I got an excited reply from the editor. Julieta, she wrote, your story is powerful and moving. We've received hundreds of messages from women who completely relate to what you went through. Would you be willing to do a video interview for our YouTube channel? I accepted right away. It was time to use my story to help other women stuck in toxic family situations. The interview was posted 2 weeks later, and it went viral fast. Thousands of women shared similar stories about adult children who used guilt to control them and took advantage of them financially. The comments were full of pain and understanding. My 40-year-old son lives in my house, doesn't pay rent, and yells at me when I ask him to find a job, one woman wrote. My daughter only calls when she needs money for trips, but never visits when I'm sick, another said. I thought I was the only mom who felt used by her own kids, a third shared. But the most powerful moment came a week after the interview. I got an email from an address I recognized right away. It was from Mark, my former son-in-law. Julieta, he wrote, I saw your interview on YouTube. I want you to know I completely agree with you. What Emily said to you was unforgivable, and the way she treated you for years was wrong. I saw it all, how she used and manipulated you. But I was afraid to speak up because we relied so much on your money. He continued, I want you to know the kids miss you very much. They don't understand why you haven't come back. Emily told them you're sick and can't visit. But I believe they deserve to know the truth when they're older. The email ended. It might be too late to say sorry, but I want you to know at least one person in the family sees how badly you were treated and how much you gave up for us. I hope you're happy in your new life. I read the message 3 times before deciding how to reply. In the end, I wrote, Mark, I appreciate your honesty, but saying sorry after the damage is done doesn't erase the pain. I hope this experience helps you become a better husband and father, and that you teach your children to respect those who love them before it's too late. It was the first time anyone in my family openly admitted the way I was treated. It didn't change my decision to stay away, but it gave me a feeling of peace I had needed for years. My new life in Switzerland was blooming in ways I never thought possible. I had real friends who liked me for who I was, not for what I could give. I had hobbies I loved. I had peace, financial safety, and most importantly, I had my dignity. 6 months after arriving in Switzerland, my life looked nothing like it did before. It was a perfect spring morning when I got a call that changed everything again. It was Claire, my neighbor and partner in all this. "Julieta," she said, sounding excited. "You won't believe this. Emily lost the house." My heart skipped a beat. Even after everything, I still worried about my grandkids. "What happened?" I asked. "The bank took the house last week. Mark never found steady work. They missed too many payments. Since you were the co-signer and you're exercising your rights, the bank went ahead with the foreclosure. Emily came to me yesterday crying nonstop. As for the kids, they're okay. They moved into a small apartment across town. Mark finally got a factory job, pays less, but at least it's steady. Emily had to go back to work too. It was a strange mix of feelings. I didn't feel happy about their pain, but I did feel a deep sense of justice. For once, they were facing the real results of their choices, without anyone saving them. Anything else? I asked. Yes. Emily asked me if I knew how to reach you. She says she wants to apologize, that she finally understands what she lost. And what did you say? I told her that some wounds cut too deep to heal, and that some words can never be taken back. I also told her you're thriving in your new life, and it's better for both of you if she doesn't reach out. Claire was right. Over these 6 months, I had built a kind of peace I wasn't willing to risk for empty words from someone who only missed me when they lost my help. Later that day, I got an unexpected call from Anel. "My lawyer, Julieta, I have good news," he said. "The bank has officially sold Emily's house. Since you were the co-signer, you're legally owed your original investment of $150,000, plus interest. How much total?" $185,000. The bank already approved the transfer. The money will be in your Swiss account next week. It was amazing. Not only had I gotten back what I once gave up, I even gained $5,000 more. That money would have been gone forever if I had stayed the self-sacrificing mother. "There's more," Anel added. "Your apartment back home has sold. After fees, you're getting $95,000. So altogether, nearly $300,000 is coming your way. With my other savings and the investments I made here, my net worth was now over $500,000. At 72 years old, I was richer than I had ever been." That night, I celebrated at my favorite restaurant by the lake. I ordered French champagne and toasted to the brave woman I had become, the woman who had the courage to start over when it seemed too late. As I ate, I thought about everything I had been through. I started as a heartbroken mother, torn apart by a daughter's cruel words. But now I was a strong, stable, happy woman, living the life I never thought I'd have. The next day, I finally did something I had been thinking about for weeks. I started writing a book about my journey. Not just my personal story, but a guide for other women stuck in toxic family situations. I reached out to a Swiss publisher that focused on self-help and personal growth. The editor, a woman named Brejgit, was interested right away. "Julieta," she told me, "your story speaks to a problem that affects millions of women but is rarely discussed. Emotional abuse from adult children is a hidden crisis that needs to be shared." I spent 3 months writing When Love Hurts, Freeing Yourself from Family Emotional Abuse After 70. The book included my full story and also gave advice on how to spot manipulation, how to set healthy boundaries, and how to find the strength to put yourself first. The book came out 8 months later and became a bestseller in several countries. The letters I got from readers were amazing. Women from all over the world wrote to say how my story gave them courage to change their lives. I read your book and finally realized I'm not a bad mother for refusing to keep funding my 35-year-old son's laziness, wrote Maria from Spain. Your story helped me see that real love shouldn't hurt, Carmen from Mexico shared. After reading your book, I sold my big house and moved into an apartment I can afford without my kids' help. For the first time in years, I sleep peacefully, said Rosa from Argentina. But the letter that touched me the most came 1 year after the book was published. It was from a young mother named Andrea. "Mrs. Johnson," she wrote, "I'm 30 years old. My mom is 65 and has given her whole life to me and my brothers. After reading your book, I realized we've been treating her exactly like Emily treated you. Your story opened my eyes. Yesterday, I called my mom and said sorry for all the years I took her for granted. I told her I want to help her reach her own dreams, not just expect her to always be there for mine. Thank you for helping me see this before it was too late." That letter made me cry tears of joy. My pain had helped protect another family from breaking apart. 2 years after I moved to Switzerland, I got a handwritten letter in the mail. The writing looked familiar, but I couldn't place it right away. When I opened it, my heart stopped. It was from my grandchildren, now 12 years old. "Dear Grandma Julieta," they wrote in big childlike handwriting. "Dad told us the truth about why you left. He said Mom said some very mean things and that's why you started a new life far away. We want you to know we miss you a lot and understand why you left. We're proud of you for being so brave. When we get older, we hope we can come visit you in Switzerland if you want. We love you, Grandma." The letter was signed by both twins. It had drawings of me, smiling in the Swiss mountains. I cried for an hour, not from sadness, but from knowing I had done the right thing. I had protected my dignity, even though it meant leaving behind people I loved. I wrote them back. "My dearest grandchildren," I began. "Your letter is the most beautiful gift I've gotten in years. I love you so much and always will, no matter the distance. When you're older and can make your own choices, my heart and my home will always be open to you. Until then, know that your grandma is happy, healthy, and living surrounded by peace and kindness. Never forget this lesson. Words can build or destroy, and love must be based on respect, not sacrifice. I love you with all my heart." Today, 3 years after that painful birthday that changed my life, I sit on my balcony in Zurich, looking at the mountains as I write these final words. I am 75 years old. I have more than $600,000 in assets. I'm the author of a best-selling book. I have dear friends from all over the world, and a deep peace I never thought I'd find again. Emily once asked me, as a birthday gift, to disappear from her life. I gave her that gift in the most unforgettable way possible. What she never understood was that by losing me, she didn't just lose a mother who loved her without limits, she lost the one person who held her entire world together. My disappearance was my gift to her. My new life? That was my gift to myself, and it was worth every tear, every sacrifice, and every heartbreak that led me here. Because sometimes, the only way to truly save yourself is to let go completely so you can become the person you were always meant to be. Did you like my story, and which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story, with love and respect.